Signalman sneaking through the inside of King for a day. Here's Signalman and Puskapart fade to the wire together. Signalman inside, got it!
VEKOMA takes command. It's VEKOMA by 2. VEKOMA is a colt with serious promise.
The Bluegrass Stakes, of course, drew a full field, a full gate of 14 horses, and this is probably, if you want to overthink this or even in being simplistic about who your choices are going to be, this is probably the hardest race to handicap in many ways, but on the other hand, you can maybe sort of just chalk it up to just sticking with a few select horses. But let's take a look at the post positions for the 9 furlong Bluegrass Stakes from Keeneland Racetrack in Lexington, Kentucky, a race that's been won by a lot of great horses, Alydar, Spectacular Bid, and so forth. Good Magic in 2018 won this race and finished second to the eventual Triple Crown winner, Justify. But it's a new year, and it's a new edition of the Bluegrass Stakes. 14 horses entered. Let's take a look at the post positions. Number 1, a horse I really like, a son of Big Brown, coming from the synthetic to the conventional dirt. His name is Some Like It Hot Brown for trainer Mike Maker. He, in 7 starts, has 3 wins, 2 seconds, and 1/3. He was third in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky in 2018. He, of course, just won the Jeff Ruby Stakes. The question is going to be whether he can switch surfaces from that synthetic, from turf to synthetic, and then cross that final frontier to be able to succeed on dirt. He's tactical. He has front-running speed. He'll be coming out of the number 1. His odds, of course, he is at 10-1. VEKOMA, who was the third-place finisher in that Fountain of Youth, barbecue back in March, on March the 2nd, for trainer George Weaver, the winner of the Nashua Stakes and 3 lifetime starts. He, of course, has 2 wins and 1/3, that being in that Fountain of Youth. He's 9-5. He'll arguably be in the battle in the odds for favoritism in this race. He's tactical. He does have a little bit of a paddling issue with that front, with one of his front leads, but he's a very talented horse. He's a son of Candy Ride, just like Game Winner, and he seems to want the added ground, but some people are questioning that. He's 9-5 coming out of number 2. Number 3 is Signalman, highly regarded as a 2-year-old, second in the Breeders' Futurity, third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, won the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill Downs a few weeks after finishing third in that BC Juvenile at Churchill Downs. So people like the fact that he's shown back class at the home of the Kentucky Derby, but he stunk it up in the Fountain of Youth, finishing a very non-threatening 7th, and so people are concerned about whether he can regain his form on a racetrack everybody knows that he likes, but he's running at 9 furlongs against decent competition in 6 lifetime starts. Signalman has, of course, had 2 wins, 2 seconds, and 1/3. So he's been in the money 5 out of his 6 starts. Can he rebound from the Fountain of Youth? He's 8-1 for trainer Kenny McPeak. Number 4 is Market King. He was third in the 2nd division of the Rebel Stakes. He was beaten well over 8 lengths behind Omaha Beach and Game Winner in that photo finish. In 7 lifetime starts for trainer D. Wayne Lucas, he has 1 win, 1 second, and 2/3. He's 20-1. His odds may increase. He was well beaten in that 2nd division, but perhaps his form as a 3rd place finisher will translate in this race, and he'll be very competitive. Market King coming out of number 4. Number 5 is Chess Chief. In 5 lifetime starts, 1 win and 1/3. He's 30-1. Dream Maker has been an enigma. He's a horse who had trouble in the Hopeful Stakes. He had trouble and issues in the Breeders' Futurity. Then he was brilliant in an allowance score at the Fairgrounds, which, gave him favoritism going into the Tampa Bay Derby. And then, of course, he smelled up the joint by running poorly in that race, running at the rear of the pack. So people don't know how to figure out the Mark Casse trainee, what he's going to do. He's well bred, but obviously he's not well behaved on the racetrack, and he has not been successful. This is his final Hail Mary to get into the Kentucky Derby. In 5 lifetime starts, he has 2 wins, no seconds, no thirds. He's still 10-1. So I think people still have faith in the fact that the Oxley-owned horse can live up to his promise. He's coming out of the number 6 hole, Dreammaker, at 10-1. Number 7 is Admire. Dale Romans has had his struggles on the Derby Trail. Admire is a horse in 4 lifetime starts, only 1 win. He's 15-1. He was 5th in the Withers, and he was 7th in the Tampa Bay Derby. Is he a horse that's going to show from the depths, from the depths of the ocean here, or from the depths of the abyss? Can he be a horse off a 7th place finish over that demanding racetrack at Tampa? Can he come from that far down and be competitive in this race? If he does, that's going to show the breadth and the depth of this race. But there's a couple other horses, or there's another horse that a lot of people are interested in from that same race participating in this bluegrass, and that would be, of course, the horse right beside him, Win Win Win, who was brilliant in the Pasco Stakes, winning by open links. A lot of people were high on him, even though his pedigree would seem to indicate he might not want the distance of ground. But then again, when you really take a close look at it, he's actually kind of really geared to, be able to, perhaps go a little further. He was very, very impressive in the Pasco. He went wide, got a wide trip in the Tampa Bay Derby, still finished a credible 3rd in 5 lifetime starts. He's got 3 wins, 1 second, 1 third for trainer Michael Trombetta. He is a stalk and pouncer. He does have speed, and it'll be interesting to see, based on how they come out of there in the first 50 yards or around the first turn, where Win 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 is going to be. And let's see if he can perform. Again, is he going to show that upside of running at Tampa Bay? He's 7-2 in the odds. Win 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 coming out of post number 8. Number 9 is a horse that I really, really like. He was coming on strongly. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get any points at Tampa. His name is Sir Winston. He's another Mark Casse trainee. Was very strong in that final furlong, final 100, 200 yards. If anybody watched that race visually, he was impressive. Just wasn't able to get points. He is 15-1, so he's a really good play at 15-1 if you believe he has any chance of hitting the board, and he's got to basically finish in that top 2 to have any shot to get enough Derby points. And 7 lifetime starts, he has 2 wins in 1 second, and then that 5th place finish in Tampa. Again, he's a horse that was 4th in the Withers, so again, he has an opportunity to translate form from 2 races, 2 preps, and punch his ticket to Churchill Downs. Sir Winston coming out of the number 9 at 15-1. Number 10, John Service, the brother of Jason Service, who won the Florida Derby with maximum security, has Lucky Lee in here in 4 starts. He has 2 wins, but he was last in the Wither Stakes. He's 15-1, and I'll be shocked if he's not more than double those odds at post time. Out of the 11 is another interesting character. He's trained by Todd Pletcher. His name is So Alive. He's a horse in 4 lifetime starts, has 2 wins and 1 third. He was a distant third, though, in that Sam F. Davis, won by Well-Defined, who, of course, went on to be and also ran in the Tampa Bay Derby. He was 11.5 lengths back in that Sam Davis Stakes, and people are wondering whether he can really turn everything around 180 degrees in this race. It'll be very interesting to see if the hot streak continues for Todd Pletcher and this horse can get enough Derby points to make it to Churchill Downs. Parsimony out of Doug O'Neill's barn. People are wondering what does he see in this horse. In 8 lifetime starts, he's a maiden with 4 second place finishes. He was 8th in the 2nd division of that Rebel Stakes, 13.25 lengths back. He's 20-1, and as I said before about a couple other horses in here, it's a pretty good chance his odds are going to double when we get around to loading those horses into the starting gate for the Bluegrass. Another horse that's very interesting. Some don't like the fact that it was on synthetic, which is conducive or favorable to horses coming from off the pace, in terms of that form being able to be effective and viable in the Bluegrass. That would be Moonster. He was 3rd in the Jeff Ruby Stakes behind Some Like It Hot Brown. And I believe 5-Star General finished 2nd in there, or I forget who's finished 2nd. Excuse me, forgive me for that. But he was 3rd in that race, and he came on very strongly. He's trained by Dale Romans. Again, he's another one of his last Hail Marys to try to get into the Kentucky Derby. In 8 lifetime starts, he has 1 win and 2 thirds, including that Jeff Ruby Stakes. He's 30-1. And then, of course, there's a very interesting horse in here named Aquadini. He's by Bernardini. In 4 lifetime starts, 1 win, 1 second. What's interesting is he was 2nd second at the fairgrounds by 3/4 of a length in an optional claimer. And those horses were about, he was 13, those two horses were about 13, almost 14 lengths ahead of the third place finisher, 13 3/4. And then he broke his maiden by 5 lengths. So he's shown some talent. He's coming in here at 30-1 for trainer Dallas Stewart. And I think, you know, the Bluegrass is one of those races. We saw IRAP win this at long odds. So this race is maybe more wide open, could be more wide open than people think, or it's going to be very formful with some of the horses in here. When looking at picking the horses that I think will, you know, go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the Bluegrass Stakes, when you break this down, I, you know, basically believe that in addition to these numbers that I'm going to throw at you, there are a few horses that you can use. But let's first get to the numbers. What I would consider to be a semi-upset special, only because I think it's at the bottom of my list, it's actually just an extra bonus, would be Signalman winning this race, the number 3, the number 8, Win 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 second, the number 2, VEKOMA third, and the number 1, Some Like It, Hot Brown finishing fourth. 3, 8, 2, 1. That's kind of the upset special as far as I'm concerned. The scenario number 3, the scenarios that I think are the strongest plays, is the number 2, VEKOMA, the number 8, Win Win Win, the number 3, Signalman actually hitting the board, and the number 11, that would be So Alive out of Pletcher's Barn, picking up the rear on the superfecta in scenario number 3, the ones that I think are the strongest. Scenario number 2 would be the 8, Win Win Win, living up to his promise, the 8, the 2, VEKOMA, the number 9, Sir Winston, coming on to get some Derby points, and the number 1, Some Like It, Hot Brown. I think that's an interesting kind of salad, you know, toss salad right there. An interesting mix in terms of the superfecta there. The 8, the 2, the 9, the 1. Then my final pick is the number 2, VEKOMA, to win this race. I'm not by any means saying this with as much confidence as I had when nailing and picking maximum security in the Florida Derby. I was pretty confident he was going to win that race, but I will give VEKOMA some credit here. But the Bluegrass is one of those races where favorites can get eaten up, just like the Kentucky Derby. But I am picking him. This is my win bet here. The number 2, the number 1, Some Like It, Hot Brown, running very well here. The number 8, Win Win Win, finishing third. And the number 9, that would be Sir Winston. That's a bit of an odd. I'm taking a little bit of a chance there. To be quite honest with you, I think the scenario underneath might actually be the best one. And some of you may argue or may believe that the third scenario, the 2, the 8, the 3, and the 11, might be better than the 8, the 2, the 9, and the 1. And then my final pick, the 2, the 1, the 8, the 9. But those are your picks for the Bluegrass Stakes for 2019.